Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Before Jared Anderson returned to the ring yesterday, he explained why he took the Martin Bacoli fight.
I went in there to accept a fight with somebody who nobody wanted to fight.
Actually, Aram exposed why Jared Anderson took the Martin Bacoli fight, and he wasn't happy with Turki Al-Sheikh. Aram said, "I want everybody to know it wasn't us. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh went right to the fighter and made his proposal for money that the fighter had never seen before, and picked his opponent as Bacoli." Now the story I got is Turki Al-Sheikh offered Jared a selection of opponents, and he went for Bacoli because it had the highest price tag. Some 6 months on, he returned to the ring on the undercard of Keyshawn Davis, who looked very good winning the WBO title against Baranchek at 135. This was at the theater, MSG. Now, they put Jared way down the bill in the preliminaries, which is quite a come down from being on a Riyadh season card high up on the bill in a fight that people wanted to see. Was he motivated for this outing? His opponent, Marios Kolias, went into the ring with a record of 12-3-1, 10 inside the distance. Was durable, but was on the end of a beating for the majority of the fight. Jared raised his record to 18 wins, 1 loss, 15 inside the distance. In the last round, Kolias let his hands go and landed 3 big right hands on Jared. I don't think he was shaken as much as people are saying. What was more disturbing is how he was pinned on the ropes, catching them big shots like that. Just before that, he threw Kolias to the ground, a blatant foul, which the referee just seemed to ignore. A lot of people are critiquing Jared's performance, but he's never been a defensive genius. He never has been. And since that Charles Martin fight, he's been the butt of a lot of criticism. At 25 years of age, Top Rank seemed to be in crisis on how to motivate Jared Anderson, who himself said he doesn't need to get to the title, he just needs to get to the money. He's had a few breakdowns, notably when he was speaking to Roy Jones and he was in tears. And I think it would be fair to say he doesn't want to fight. It's something that he's had a talent for, and it's like he's forgot what his purpose is, what's got him here, and he's like, why am I here? How did I get here? Bruce Trampler, top-ranked matchmaker, not happy. And I hear Bob Arum, not happy. Bruce said, if Jared doesn't want it, he ain't gonna get it. Today looked like all the people at Top Rank worked harder for him than he worked for himself. In a since-deleted post on Twitter, either Anderson or someone with his team responded to Bruce Trampler with 3 tears of joy emojis and 3 words. This is hilarious. You know my thoughts on grown men writing with emojis. Trampler, needless to say, was not amused himself. Hilarious. Nobody's laughing, Trampler replied. You can be a world champion if you truly want it. Sad if you don't realize your potential and give it your best effort. But that's up to you, champ. We still love you. In 2023, he was involved in a traffic stop for speeding. 2024, he allegedly led the police on a chase that ended with Anderson crashing his car. Somebody said Daniel Dubois, 2 years older than Jared, that if he can come back from earlier losses and setbacks, so can Jared. The difference is, though, is Daniel isn't getting into these extracurricular activities outside of training and fighting. Daniel has always been in the gym. A lot of Daniel's issues Worse psychological, like Jared Anderson's are. Daniel's in the gym, working hard all the time. There were people who were commenting on Jared's conditioning. This was a career heaviest for Jared, 4 pounds heavier than when he fought Bacoli, and he looked sluggish. Daniel has never cried about the workload. He's never suggested, I don't want to be here. A lot of that is due to his dad, who has a strong presence in his life, in his career. I was watching Daniel the other day, going back to one of his old gyms that he trained in as an amateur, and he'd done this gymnastic maneuver on the flying rings and showed amazing upper body strength and athleticism. He likely could have done any sport he turned his hand to, or that his dad encouraged him to. Is Jared grounded enough? Does he have the people around him that will put him in a place where he can mature and overcome setbacks like Daniel Dubois did? Is time running out for Jared? And if he's not careful, he's going to be out of that top-ranked contract and out of the heavyweight picture before he's even 28.
Boxing
beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Abdullah Mason, power in either hand, looked impressive. I noticed how that left hand was up, guarding his chin after he hooked, and he's learnt his lessons after his last fight where he was put on the canvas a couple of times before stopping his opponent. I noticed he's using his right hand, should I say forearm, to block a lot more. He's getting undershots a lot more. Stopped his opponent in the fourth, and he continues his television-friendly, extremely gifted rise as a prospect. Looked very good. Was it 3 consecutive right hooks that took out Manuel James? First time Manuel James had been stopped in 20 fights. And Manuel is no scrub, but Abdullah made easy work of it. Easy work.
Boxing
beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Now, whether it was Team Baranchik or Teofimo Lopez who sent Keyshawn the banana and watermelon package, it got the desired result, but not for neither Baranchik or Teofimo Lopez. Keyshawn come out there looking absolutely fabulous. He looked a whole division bigger than Baranchik. It looked like a welterweight versus a lightweight, in all truth. And there was a show of strength very early. Head control, controlling the side of Baranchik's head with his lead hand and pushed him to the floor with consummate ease. Baranchik looked jittery, tried his best, but Keyshawn dominated the center of the ring pretty easy. There was one exchange where Baranchik was trying to get punches off and he was pushed into the ropes. He reeled back into the ropes. He was a bit anxious lunging in as he realized he was not only up against a superior physical specimen, but a young boxer approaching his prime at the age of 25, his opponent 36 years of age. The fight became untidy in round 2. Baranchik never gave up on trying to feint with that southpaw lead and walk Keyshawn into shots, but he was bundled to the floor in the second round as the action became a little untidy. Keyshawn clearly the stronger man. Unless he can get the big fights at 135 against his namesake, you-know-who, will have no choice but move up to 140 sooner than later. Dennis, he was reduced to coming in, flurrying, and then holding, and trying to make it untidy. And he did the best he could. And although not really getting off with any clean shots himself, he did nullify a lot of Keyshawn's work. But Keyshawn was never panicked. He was patient. While Baranchik had an anxious aura, a lot more of a panicked look about his work. Keyshawn started working the body in the third, which paid dividends as a left hook put Baranchik on the canvas. The beautifully delivered punch. Baranchik, he got up, breathing heavy now. Keyshawn was now finding his range to find stinging right hooks and left hooks, and he didn't want to hang about. He wanted Baranchik out of there. Baranchik was still getting some sneaky counters in, and he was still being elusive. Has very good footwork, actually. Yeah? Only it was ineffective against Keyshawn. But Keyshawn unlocked the door with that body shot and that knockdown. At the end of the third, Keyshawn had this crazed look on his face before he sat down. And just before the bell, he threw a beautiful combination. And Baranchik's nose was pouring blood. They couldn't staunch it with the swab, and the title was slipping away. Baranchik, in the fourth, tried to make it untidy, but smothering his own work as well, trying to make it scrappy. The nose was leaking straight away. Keyshawn was catching him with left hooks, and the jab was controlling distance. Maybe didn't use it as much as I thought he would, but Terence Crawford did say that it's going to be a body shot that finishes off Baranchik. Baranchik stumbled off balance after one exchange where nothing landed from Keyshawn, and he clearly wasn't going to last the full distance. There was a jab to the body from Keyshawn. Soon after that, that left uppercut to the body just took the wind out of his sails. 4th round knockout, Keyshawn Davis, WBO lightweight champion. He now raises his record to 13 wins, 9 inside the distance. 2 brilliant performances on the bounce, the last time against Gustavo Daniel Limos, who he stopped in the second. The finishing punch, sheer quality, Dennis lunging forward, off balance, trying to throw punches to the bitter end as he overextended over his right foot and got countered with that left hook. And the ones you don't see are the ones that really get you.
Who do you want next now that you're a champion?
Man, anybody that got the balls to step in the ring to fight me, tell them come on, anybody. It's 2 135 division champions that I would love to fight, but if they got the guts to step in the ring with the businessman, tell them send me a contract or I send them one.
Lomachenko, he's not going to fight Keyshawn. He's just holding on to the belt for the status of being a champion, but he's not acting like a champion. Tank Davis, well, we just got to go back into the recent interview he did. He said he's got 2 more fights after the Lamont Roach fight, and then he retires. And then he said this.
My biggest fear is being embarrassed, especially in front of, like, all these people, like, worldwide. Then you be, like, come this mean for deck, like, you know? Like, I ain't got time for that. I'm not trying to go out, get my butt kicked. Like, bad. Like, I can't do it. I don't want to be embarrassed, bro. It's just my pride. Some people be made for it, some people don't. It's not going to win. You better be ready.
Tank is just unraveling into a not very imposing champion. I mean, no boxer wants to get laughed at after catching a beatdown. No boxer. But on the quest for greatness, the greats get over that, and they do what's necessary to at least attempt to become great. And that might mean failing and then having to come again. He revealed in that interview that he turned down $20 million to face Devin because he thought Turkey was going to rig the cards against him for some reason. And Keyshawn's other option for a big fight, which won't be a unification, at 135, Andy Cruz, who beat him how many times in the amateurs. Keyshawn himself this week said, let that one marinade. So, I don't know. America still has a lot of carryover from the old Cold War politics. This side of the street politics, there's still a lot of that there, unfortunately.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Good body shot from Jack. Wow, Jack went to the body, people. That summed it up for Jack, his lack of variety. Diobyanuli, he observed, and observed correctly. Jack can only throw straight punches and back off. He always stinks the place out. There's either 2 ways Jack woke up this morning. He's either none too concerned that he didn't win, as long as his paycheck cleared, or he's extremely disappointed. Now let's assume that he's extremely disappointed. Why is he extremely disappointed? Because they managed to secure a hometown fight to become interim WBO 140-pound champion. You've got the crowd on your side. This is what you've been dreaming for, I assume, from a young kid. Full training camp to prepare for not the worst fighter we've seen challenging for either a regular or a full scrap. Not the worst, but definitely not the best. Definitely beatable. And the blame cannot solely be laid on Jack Catterall, although he rightly is going to take the criticism for his lackluster performance. Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis, I'd like to hear them explain how they prepared for this fight. How comes Jack's style hasn't changed since he was a lightweight on Queensberry and Frank Warren was talking about him fighting Adrian Broner? Now, we always talk about AB doesn't let his hands go. Jack be making AB look like Aaron Pryor. I spoke about this fight here. Jack said he's going for a knockout apparently, and Eddie Hearn said, I've never heard Jack speak like that, so he's really bang up for this. I was saying, okay. But I was assuming he was going to bring some stuff that I haven't seen yet. perhaps there's more in the locker room, because Jack wins a lot of his fights at times by doing the bare minimum. And I spoke about Terry Marsh, former British and European champion, challenging Joe Louis Manley, the IBF light welterweight champion from the USA. Terry was predominantly an upright British-style jabber, and he wasn't a big puncher, but he switched up his style and pinned Manley on the ropes for the whole fight. He came at him like a tiger and eventually overwhelmed Manley and stopped him in the 10th. And I was like, wow, I didn't know he could do that. And World Championship Boxing is all about utilizing what you're good at, bringing the best out of what you got, and bringing new things into play. And Jack brought nothing new. Nothing new. He just stood around posing, made no adjustments. He should have been credited with a knockdown. From what I know of the rules, if Jack didn't throw that punch, would Barboza have hit the canvas? And if the answer is no, then it should have been scored a knockdown, regardless if the feet got tangled up or not. A less skilled fighter could have beat Barboza. That's what's really frustrating. All Jack had to show is a little more desire. Just throw a few more punches, and on industry, you would have likely have got a hometown decision. Do I think Barboza should have got the decision? No, I don't. But I'm so disappointed. I'm not very keen on seeing Jack perform at the world level again. I'm not sad he didn't get the verdict. And I was rooting for the guy to win. But I'm not sad he didn't get it. You know, he came out the ring, he wasn't tired, he didn't have a mark on his face. Did he have any marks on his face? He looked fresh. Barboza, he's got a charmed life. That verdict he got with Sean McComb was absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. The nerve that Barboza thought he could come over here and throw so few punches and get a decision and actually pull it off. I should be outraged, but I'm not, because Jack performed so bad. I don't even want to talk about the fight no more. I'll be honest with you, because I'm more disappointed with the quality of the fight than Jack losing. There was so much at stake, and they did so little. They stood up at times and waited on each other to try and counter, and they did a shit job at that. The accuracy between the two wasn't very impressive. Neither man knew how to fight on the inside, and I was just wishing Jack would just change it up, double the jab up, do something a little different. Right, left. No combinations. Jack, he poses too much. He's too much of a poser. He knew the guy was taller. He knew he was going to be outreached. He knew Barboza liked countering, and he made no adjustments for that at all. A lot of British fighters have overwhelmed opponents abroad in their best moments, whether they become champions or their career-defining fights, with heart, determination and desire. I can't doubt Jack's braveness, or even Barboza's braveness, because they got in the ring and fought. But when you think of guys like John H. Tracy against Mantequilla in the bull ring in Mexico, when he won the title, when you even think about Jack's trainer, Jamie Moore, when he fought Matthew Macklin, has he studied his trainer? Has none of that rubbed off on him? That's your trainer. Isn't Jamie telling him, yo, this is what I had to do to overcome the best opponents I faced? Strange to me. Just really strange. What Barboza did well is he kept the range with his reach and his slight height advantage, and he didn't walk into Jack's traps readily like a lot of Jack's opponents did. Jack had nothing. It's not like Barboza was tremendously fast, really aggressive, or a hard puncher, or extremely clever in there. In fact, Jack was the harder puncher. I'm not even sure if Barboza takes that good a shot. Jack had him a little shaky, got his attention with some of the shots he got through with. No sustained attacks by Jack, with the hometown crowd willing to cheer him on, roar him on to victory. But you got to show that passion, and if Jack hasn't got that passion, he needs to question why he's even boxing. Barboza, he should give Sean McComb a rematch if he's serious about being considered some type of champion, interim beat, or whatever. He should give Sean McComb a rematch. And if not, maybe Jack Catterall should fight Sean McComb if he's to redeem himself. Sean deserves a big fight. He deserves a big fight. He's a way better boxer, in my opinion, than certainly Barboza. We saw that last year, and I think he'd outbox Jack Catterall. But if Jack really thinks that he's world-class, like he's been saying, let's see him try to redeem himself against Sean McComb. People are talking about feed him to Dalton Smith. Nah, Dalton's on a different trajectory. Let Dalton have his one more fight around May, and then he'll take on the winner of Sando Martin and Puello for the full WBC strap. Why should he come off his journey to accommodate Jack Catterall, who had it all laid up for him, Saturday gone, and didn't bring it.
Boxing,
Beats and rhymes.
no one can do it better.
Reese Botti exploited Michael Gomez Jr., who despite having the height and I'm assume reach advantage, came in straight lines looking for one big punch. Reese obviously worked on his game. He moved very well on the back foot, countered exceptionally well, and the body attack finally forced a stoppage. Gomez couldn't come out for round 10. He was dropped in the 5th and the 8th round. Botti, he was cut midway through the fight, head clash, and it did threaten to perhaps spoil what was otherwise an excellent performance from Reese Botti. Maybe the best I've seen him perform. Looked really good, defending his British and Commonwealth titles at 130. Gomez left himself open to be hit, and Reese hit him. Michael tried to impose his size on Reese, like he could take his power, and he was going to walk through Reese's best shots. And Reese, not a huge hitter, just stuck to the game plan and boxed. The only issues he had was when the cut was impairing his vision clearly, and Michael would get a couple of shots off, but there was never no rhythm or fluidity to his work. And when them body shots really started crunching in there, 2 knockdowns were produced and they didn't allow Michael to come out for the 10th. It's over. Very impressive by Reese. Very impressive.
Boxing,
Beats and rhymes.
no one can do it better.
Zelfa Barrett had a huge size advantage, and I expected him to beat Jazza Dickens. Marcus McDonald had it 96-94 in Jazza's favour. I think he won more clearly than that. Zelfa, every time he threw his jab, he got countered. Every time he went to throw a big right, Jazza would take a little step back. Zelfa would overextend, and he'd get popped. And that was the rhythm through the whole fight. And at 31, I don't know if Zelfa's found his ceiling at domestic level, or if he needs a new coach, and there's no disrespect to Pat Barrett, but Zelfa didn't know how to box and use his height advantage, and he certainly didn't have a clue how to walk Jazza down without getting countered. At the same time, Jazza looked really good in there. He looked really good. He looked reinvigorated and won a unanimous 10-round decision. Jazza coming from that southpaw stance, it looked like Zelfa had no idea how to fight a southpaw. He got hit with Jazza's backhand all night, and then it came to a point where Zelfa was apprehensive to throw his punches in case he got countered. Not that he was getting hurt. In fact, Jazza had more facial damage on his face, but Zelfa got a boxing lesson in there. Zelfa landed right hands, but if he thought one punch could turn it around, it just didn't happen. His footwork, all wrong. His defense was unimpressive. Like, he has to look where he's getting caught. Where are your hands where you're getting caught? They're nowhere near where they need to be, around your head, guarding the shot. And if you look at Jazza's defense, bearing in mind he did get hit, Jazza, when he's crouching, his guard comes down with him. Coming up, comes up. It's like it all works in one. Zelfa's defense was all about the place. Crucially, the footwork is where Zelfa really came up short. Jazza's footwork, on the other hand, was on another level. Moved beautifully round the ring.
Boxing,
Beats and rhymes.
no one can do it better.
Robbie Davis is listed at 5'10", Pat McCormack 5'8". And that could be the case, but Pat McCormack was so dominant, he looked a lot bigger, and he was bigger than Robbie Davis. Robbie Davis, the prime of his career was spent at 140. I sensed Robbie was a shot fighter in the first, although nothing much happened. In the second round, I think I caught wind of it before the rest of the chat. Left hook from Pat McCormack, he led with it. Robbie's shot, man. I could just see the body language. This is going to be a bad night for Robbie. I could just see it. When you go down 3 times from basically the same combination, twice in the third, once in the fifth, the same 1-2, put him down 3 times. Didn't come out for the 7th, I believe. Yeah, when you go down 3 times from the same 1-2, the reflexes are shot. But this is the first win that McCormack has over a name that's recognizable on the domestic front. So it will raise a few eyebrows. How good is he really? It's very good matchmaking because while not a world-class name or a household name, on the domestic boxing scene over here, they know who Robbie Davis is. So people are going to ask, well, how good is this Pat McCormack? He looked pretty good, but how good is he? And the matchmaking process done its job here. Matchmaking is not only to bring the fighter on in terms of his development as a pugilist, it's also there to put you in the shop window and advertise the brand. So when Eddie's saying, yeah, this is a good fight, Pat McCormack is taking on experienced Robbie Davis, who's fought Javier Fortuna, Lipinets, Hank Lundy, Gabriel Valenzuela. He's fought a lot of good names. As impressed as I was with Pat McCormack, and as shot as I was saying Robbie was, I knew there was something that was bugging me. So after the second round, I'd done a little digging. I looked at BoxRec, and Pat McCormack's fought as high as 157. Robbie's prime work has been at 140. So this is where the matchmaking, the whole process, has to be respected. We spoke about Jared Anderson going against Bob Arum's way of doing it and took the beating of his life against Bacoli. So yeah, it looks good to have that stoppage against Robbie Davis in his 7th fight, because Pat hasn't really had a standout performance before that. So it looks good, but when you look under the bonnet, there's more to it than that, isn't there? You know, like Pat McCormack looks like he could fight at 154 right now. But them right hands that floored Robbie were crisp, fast, and powerful looking. And Robbie showed a lot of courage to get up from shots like that. He could have stayed down from the second one and nobody would have said anything. Nobody would have said anything. Like, I thought Crawler could have pulled him out probably after the 4th. Could have pulled him out. He pulled him out after the 6th, and Robbie Davis retired. Robbie said, end of an era. At Pat McCormack is one of the best skilled fighters I've had the pleasure to share the ring with. At Matchroom Boxing, thank you everyone. I've lived out my dream, 12 years professional. Anyone, anywhere, loved every minute of it. Bigged up Anthony Crawler, who was the chief second, who stopped the fight. There was also a couple of good Matchroom prospects in the prelims. Actually, Anthony Crawler's little brother, William Crawler, got a little mean streak in it. A powerful left hook. He stopped his opponent in the first. Powerful left hook. That was at 154. And yeah, he hits hard. He's 7-0, 6 inside the distance right now. William Crawler. Banging people over. And there was Connor Tudsbury. Light heavy. He's got that Anthony Yard type physique, but perhaps even more sculpted than Yard. This was his pro debut. Like, the right cross he hit his opponent with was violent. But his opponent actually got up with his gloves up ready to fight. And I understand why the referee stopped it, but he was ready to go again. I tell you what, man, some of these boxers are tough, because the right cross, it dropped him and his neck whiplashed on the second from bottom rope. But this man got up and wanted to fight on. But yeah, Connor Tudsbury, Matchroom have high hopes, but you know, we need to see more than just a knockout punch, because they don't all go over. But he's definitely got crazy power.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.